This is the Ramana Satsang. We're reading from the Ashtavakra Gita. Listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Know yourself. I'm Richard Clarke, and I'm not a guru or a teacher. Ramana's teaching of Advaita Vedanta is deep and profound, and I want to share it. I'm reading from and commenting on the Ashtavakra Gita, an important text of Advaita. Today is chapter 18, verses 21 through 24, and this chapter is about the peace of a sage. 18:21. Like a leaf in the wind, the liberated one is untethered from life, desireless, independent, free. For one who has transcended the world, there is no joy or sorrow. With a stilled mind, he lives on, with no body. One who knows the self, whose mind is serene and spotless, does not desire to give up anything, nor does he miss what is not there. His mind being in a natural state of emptiness, the wise one knows nothing of honor and dishonor. He does what comes to be done. So let's break down these verses from the Ashtavakra Gita where he discusses peace. 18:21. Like a leaf in the wind, the liberated one is untethered from life, desireless, independent, free. This verse speaks of absolute freedom. You are not bound by external circumstances, nor are you swayed by desires. Like a leaf floating on the wind, moving without resistance, a liberated being exists without attachment. The mind, free from craving and aversion, no longer clings to outcomes. Independence is not about isolation, but about resting in the natural state of the self, untouched by temporary fluctuations of things or moods of the mind. When you recognize this, you move through life without resistance, knowing that true freedom is not something to achieve, but something you already are. In spiritual practice, this verse points out the end of suffering caused by attachment. When you let go of grasping at experiences or outcomes, you realize an effortless existence. Liberation is not about control, but about surrendering to the present without resistance. The more you recognize the self, the more life unfolds naturally, without struggle. By living this awareness, you move beyond conditioned fears and desires, allowing a profound peace to emerge. This freedom does not mean passivity. It means responding to life without being bound by it. 18:22. For one who has transcended the world, there is no joy or sorrow. With a stilled mind, he lives on with no body. This verse describes the state of transcendence. When you no longer identify with the world, dualities like joy and sorrow lose their grip. The mind, no longer caught in reaction, becomes still. This does not mean apathy. It means seeing past personal emotions and thoughts. The phrase lives on with no body suggests a shift in identity. Instead of seeing yourself as the body and its experiences, you recognize the self, which is formless and unchanging. In this state, the ups and downs of life no longer disturb you. Now, about spiritual practice, Ashtavakra invites you to look beyond temporary emotional states. Happiness and sorrow come and go, but you are not touched by these passing waves. When you stop grasping at one and fearing the other, the mind settles into peace. True stillness does not require physical withdrawal, but an internal shift. Living from this understanding, you remain present, steady, and free from emotional turbulence. In this state, experiences happen, but they do not define you. You are no longer at the mercy of changing circumstances. 1823. One who knows self, whose mind is serene and spotless, does not desire to give up anything, nor does he miss what is not there. This verse speaks of contentment. When you recognize the self, there is no inner conflict. You don't feel the need to hold on to anything, nor do you suffer from the absence of anything. A serene mind does not react to gain or loss. It remains at peace. Clinging and resistance both fall away because they're based on the illusion that something outside of you completes you or limits you. But knowing the self, you see that completeness has always been here. This verse offers a profound lesson on inner peace. In daily life, much suffering comes from wanting things to be different, wanting more of what you like and less of what you don't. But when you see that nothing external can add or take away from what you truly are, peace is natural. A spotless mind does not mean a mind free from thoughts, but a mind free from grasping and resisting. True contentment arises when you stop measuring your life based on gain or loss and rest in what is always present. 1824. His mind being in a natural state of emptiness, the wise one knows nothing of honor and dishonor. He does what comes to be done. Ashtavakra describes effortless living. When the mind is empty, not in a dull way, but free from personal attachments, concepts like honor and dishonor lose meaning. They are social constructs based on ego, but a wise one is not bound by them. Instead, life moves through them naturally. There is no resistance, no grasping its status or identity. Whatever arises to be done is done, not from ambition or fear, but from an innate flow. In your spiritual practice, this verse invites you to live effortlessly by trusting the natural flow of life. It calls on you to let go of judgments and self-images that bind you to societal expectations. As you release the need for external validation, your actions become pure expressions of the self. When your mind rests in emptiness, the duality of honor and dishonor lose relevance, freeing from you the burden of pride and shame. This awareness leads to genuine spontaneity, where you act with clarity and sincerity. Your life becomes a manifestation of deep inner freedom and authenticity, bringing transformation. These verses describe the effortless freedom that comes with knowing the self. When you stop identifying with attachments, emotions, or external validation, life unfolds naturally, free from struggles. Instead of seeking fulfillment in temporary things of the world, you rest in the completeness that has always been here. Now we have a video, a satsang discourse by Nome, Knowledge.
Being is immovable, eternal. Consciousness is unchanging, infinite. Such is the real nature of the self. In this lies the permanence of self-realization. The unchanging, infinite consciousness is itself the knowledge that constitutes self-realization. It is not something lost or acquired, but rather the very nature of your being, which neither comes from anywhere nor goes anywhere. For the perfection of bliss, all that is needed is self-knowledge, the self-revelation of this consciousness. In self-knowledge, that is the revelation of the unmoving and the unchanging, lies deep peace, absolute peace, silent peace. It is unaffected by the illusory world. It is unaffected by the illusory body. It transcends modes of an illusory mind. The one thing to be sought, it is actually innate. By Sri Bhagavan's instruction and with his grace, dive inward, inquiring to know who you are. Cast aside every objectified conception. So that the self-luminous consciousness rests in its own nature as it is. If anything appears, it is known in and by that luminous consciousness. If nothing appears, that nothing is known by the same luminous consciousness. It is the only knower in all the apparent knowers. It is the only actual knowledge in all the apparent knowledge. Nothing has an existence apart from that. In that, though, that alone exists. That consciousness is truly the self. As there are not two or more selves, but only one self, how can ignorance be sustained? The peace of the self is always there. Ignorance alone seems to veil it. Knowledge destroys ignorance. This knowledge is self-knowledge. Inquiring to realize this as your very nature, you will find ignorance to be non-existent. The Vedas declare Prajnana Brahma, supreme knowledge or consciousness is Brahman. Do you comprehend? If this is understood, by what light is it known? If you think that you do not understand, by what light is that thought known? The consciousness is invariable, inescapable, and changeless. The consciousness is itself the supreme knowledge. Inquire and know yourself as that, and that alone is the reality. reality means that which exists. There is no question of anything else.
All right. And now we'll take a few minutes and inquire. Oop. You exist. Notice that you exist, and you know that you exist. Inquire. What attachments keep me from experiencing the freedom? And I rest in the awareness that is beyond all emotions. how much of my behavior is influenced by seeking approval or avoiding disapproval? What am I still trying to hold on to or push away in my life? Who am I? What do I take myself to be? And who am I really? What am I? Am I a body? Am I a mind? Am I an ego? Am I the knower of all of these? What is the nature of my existence? And let's close with our chant. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Any questions or comments?
Feeling real peaceful.
And it's okay after all of that to just have your mind be quiet.
Mm. Yesterday, we were talking to one of our sons who's married to a lovely woman that's a surgeon, and she's pregnant. And she's finishing her fellowship, and they're looking for where they're going to be moving, where she's offered a job. And they were talking about how they're afraid of slowing down.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they're just used to going, 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 and they have a fear of slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
I felt really sad for them.
Well, I can relate to them at one end. For a long time in my Silicon Valley life, I couldn't imagine, stopping working. And then I retired and moved to Arunachala, and I was happy,
Yeah,
surprisingly happy without all that stuff,
yeah, yeah,
without all the external tasks and deadlines.
yeah.
And for me, it was also important at that time to find out, who I was and what my life was about again. And
Yeah.
I decided, based on what Ramana has said, that my job in this part of my life is to be happy.
Which is always there, just a matter of attending to it.
Yeah, that's right. It's easy.
We didn't post last week's session.
I thought I did.
I didn't get a notification of it.
Okay, okay. I didn't send out a message with it in the group. I'll do that this week and include last week's sessions. And I'm glad you're looking for it and want to listen again.
Yeah, and I think I'll talk again with Robert and see if he'll join us.
Robert Dalgleish.
Yeah, what do you think, Bruce?
Um, yeah, you could ask him.
Yeah,
Yep. He's game for many things.
yeah, yeah. I'll ask him again. And I'm leaving on Friday for California. So I'm glad that you send the emails, Richard, so that I can access my email and join you on my cell phone from California. And I'll be going to SOT too.
Oh, good,
Oh,
good.
that's great.
So you'll
Yeah,
see Nome.
yeah, yeah,
What's hard with Nome is to uh, see him and not react to what are the obvious body difficulties he has.
yeah.
Is-
Well,
He has some physical issues of some sort.
He's had Parkinson's disease for more than 20
Ah,
years.
oh, okay. Hmm.
And, one of the things he's talked about, uh, at least when he and I have been talking about it, is besides all the other symptoms that you know of, he's had pain as an ongoing Parkinson's symptom. But the thing is, when he and I talked about it, by the time we were through, we ended up laughing. And we laughed because of the difference of, what people in the satsang feel about his debilitating disease and what he felt about it.
I spoke to Jim Clarke yesterday, and he told me that Nome is on different medications now. He's gained weight. He's stronger.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, yeah,
Very good. I know there have been a lot of advances, and I know Nomi has kept up with them.
yeah.
Anyway, good. And I hope you do well in your trip and that joining us by your cell phone isn't too unpleasant.
No, it'd be a little bit different, but I'll be glad to be with you.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I'm so glad that Bruce has joined us.
Well, good.
Glad to
So
be
am I.
here.
Yeah.
Anyway, namaste, and we'll see you next week. And I'll make sure I send out an email with the links to the videos.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Namaskaram.
Okay. Namaste.
Namaste.